Hey rhynox, can you do you have maybe you want to tell me about another movie? Yeah, I want it. Is this one that you want to have made, or is this a real one? No, it's a. So we did Halloween, right? Yeah. Well, I also was thinking about like Nightmare on Elm Street. Go on. Okay, so I really like Nightmare on Elm Street, and anything about the movie lore is that it was based on like actual legends of sleep demons. So I got to thinking about sleep demons and things like that. So I wrote look, I'll just go ahead and read you the thing. Please do. Okay. So first of all, it's just called Elm Street. I thought that would be a cool title. Yeah, just read it. Okay. So in 1980, three almost strangers happened onto an artifact that was tied to a lesser deity. Um, in a soul contract, they agreed to feed the demons souls via sacrifice every year in exchange for fabulous success. The nanny, they have different jobs, of course, they're different kinds of. One of them's a nanny, and she becomes an education mogul with reform books and several centers for wayward teens. One of them's a security guard, and he becomes the chief of police with aspirations to run the whole town. One of the guys was a carpenter, a woodworker, and he becomes a builder that seems to have his name on every building and project in town. So each year between here, I've wrote like the 1st of October and the 1st of November because it's spooky season. You know what I mean? Um, they use their positions of power to disappear the less dead around to feed the spirit, which is something that, if you learn about true crime, you learn that the people that are most often the victims that go overlooked the longest are what they call the less dead. These are migrants, the homeless, prostitutes, you know, um, unfortunately, people that don't afford the same protections under the law that some other more privileged classes do. Anyway, so flash forward in 1987, the trio's pride. This is all lore, by the way, too. But the trio, the original trio's pride, gets the better of them, and they learn the price for missing a sacrifice. The demon was going to feed one way or the other. Children and teens began to be found in their own beds, slashed to pieces, almost beyond recognition. Each wound was four parallel deep cuts, like the claws of an animal. After the killings, the trio realizes they can't skip the sacrifice. The killings all took place on the street they lived, which is Elm Street. But in order to to close the matter, um, they used their influence to push all the blame on a singular gay man that lived alone on Elm Street. They said he was a pedophile who murdered these children in their own beds, and eventually the neighborhood comes together and they nail his door shut and they burn his house to the ground. And his name was Frederick Krueger. In 2002, this is where our story actually takes place. We open with men and women piled in the back of a panel van. Their hands are bound and covered with sacks. The drivers are arguing with each other over how slim the sacrifice is this year, and they would have to do, and if it wasn't enough, they knew what would happen. And one of the captives quickly he frees himself from his bindings, and disheveled and scared, he bursts free from the back of the van, and the second it stops at a red light, and he just but instead of chasing where they might be seen, they just floor it. So like the original, the original trio, they just get the hell out of there because they're trying not to get caught. They tell themselves, "Oh, we've got more time." They in fact do not have enough time, and their sacrifice wasn't enough. So we introduce the young characters who leave their houses on Halloween night. The news is on, and they're showing stories of a crazed person running through the streets a few nights before, or something like that. And the news has a be on the lookout, and the parents are on the phone, seemingly having a completely unrelated conversation. But really, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do about this sacrifice because these parents are the original trio. The kids' party devolves into a general basement hangout with pot and beer and music. The trio the trio's kids along with a bunch of others. So then you have this great, the main character nods off, and of course that leads into some kind of nightmare. She wakes with a fright, and all the other kids tease her with and these are older kids, these are older teenagers, and they're going to tease her with the 1-2 Freddy's coming for you rhyme from the original story. Another kid, this is an opportunity for another kid to ask what that rhyme is, and then they explain what the local legend is, and then they reassure our main character that, oh, it was just a dream. So then, maybe a couple days later, like the night of November 1st, like this is whatever the deadline is, the first kid gets taken. The original trio is panicking. The original kids learn more about the Kruger killings, but something doesn't seem to add up. So they go to the house that was rebuilt there, and they ask the current resident. My vote is Karen O from the Yeah Yeah Yes, just because to me that kind of harkens back to Deborah Harry doing the anthology bookends for Creepshow. I don't know. They ask this lady if she knows anything, and her house is filled with fortune telling crap, and she tells her that other than the whole mob with torturous thing, nothing bad ever happened to that house before it was burned down, before it was rebuilt, anything. Freddy was completely innocent, and the whole thing was a cover up. She tells them about the sleep demon, and then it might take many forms. More kids die. The ones who don't know that Freddy was a setup might see the demon as what they think Freddy would look like. Like a burn victim, but way worse than they did in the 80s. More charred flesh, more gore, grosser. That's what I want to see. So, following the advice of the fortune teller, they piece together the relationship with their parents, and they go to the lake that's in their town. And there's an island inside that lake that's rumored to be overrun with venomous snakes. For some reason, they have to go there anyway. So on the island, they find a clearing that's blocked off from view with giant boulders encircling the clearing, and there's evidence of fire and blood and bones. The kids, so it's a sacrificial altar, is what it is. The kids go back home and snoop around their parents. They all seem to have secret rooms, like either in the basement or the attic, or they all have these rooms that no one's allowed to go into, which is another red flag if you listen to true crime. One of them finds a tablet. Another one finds like a ceremonial knife, and one of them finds a bottle. The bottom of the bottle is ringed with dry blood, and when the bottle is found, there's a confrontation with the parent. The kids, they get into a fight, and the kid throws the bottle down and shatters it on the ground. But apparently, and they see it. You see it hit the ground and shatter into a million pieces. And the parent calmly leans down and picks it up, and the bottle is still all in one piece. They're saying, look, let me explain. We did this for the town. We did this for our family. But of course, the kid just runs out. They're not hearing any of this. So the kid later meets up in the woods. One of them brings a gun. Maybe it was one of the parents, and they're just, they're out of their minds. They don't know what's going on, and they're scared. But one of the others is like, I can't shoot my dad. You're crazy. You're going to have to, if you want to stop this. The fortune teller explains. She explains that the parents are blood tied to the demon, and that they are, it's tethered to the world. They're running out of other kids on Elm Street, and their protection of being the trio's kids is running out. So once all the other kids are dead, they're going to come after the trio's kids. So they go to the Snake Island that night, and they hide in the woods. They watch their parents perform a ritual with the few people that they had managed to scrounge together. They read from the tablet, and they use the knife to bleed into the bottle, where they anoint the sacrifices with blood, hoping that's enough because they've lost enough kids. They fill the empty bottle with water, letting it mix with the residue of blood, and they drink it. When they do, their victims fall asleep. That's when the slashes appear out of nowhere, and one of them starts choking on blood, and the trio shares a look, and they look at, and they're looking at each other, and they're freaking out. So one of the kids bursts out of the tree line with the gun and demands they stop it. The parent explains that it can't be stopped. It'll be over soon. And they they shouldn't have come. And suddenly the original captive that escaped from the panel van in the beginning of the film, he bursts out, tackles the kid with the gun, taking it from him. He shoots one parent, knocks the other parent into the fire, and then gut shots the third parent before he is the guns wrestled away from him. The shot one is merely wounded, and there's some dialogue about how it was okay and that she knew it was for the best and just to make it quick and that would all be over. And then the other victim woke up screaming, blood running down his eyes and his ears and his nose and his mouth, and smoke from the fire burning that was burning the other parent gathered up into the form of a beast that came down and ripped the last living parent apart. So at this point, the night is quiet, and the random man drops the gun and runs out into the woods again, never to be seen. The killings are blamed on the man, right? The crazy person that had been seen in the town a couple of days before. The fire burned away almost all of the evidence. The trio's bodies, they just look like more victims of some copycat of the Kruger killing. So it's all wrapped up in a bow. So then that one too, there's an epilogue here. This was fun for me to write. In 2005, two girls canoe to Snake Island, and they pull their canoe up on the shore. Girl one says, "Oh my God, Taylor, I can't believe your dad makes you come to vacation here of all places." Taylor says, "Well, it beats knocking praying mantis pods off of Christmas trees." And then girl one, "You've lived a charmed life." And then Taylor says, "Whatever you say, it's actually kind of pretty here. I wish I'd bought my guitar. I could have worked on some songs." And the girl one says, "Hey, Taylor, what's this?" And then one girl pulls a familiar half-buried tablet out from underneath the pine needles. Now, if it's not clear, I'm implying that Taylor Swift has made a deal with the sleep demon to gain the power she has to become a billionaire song mogul. It's all fiction. I just made that up. I don't really believe that, but it's a fun thing. I could have picked any pop star, but I'm a Swiftie. So anyway, what do you think? Oh, yeah, I'd watch it. Okay.